let's start beginning. So, hi, Julian. Can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit what inspired you to create the Consent Awards?
Mm. Yeah, hi, my name's Julian Day. I'm the founder and the CEO of Consensus, and we run the Consensus Awards, which I started in the middle of 1999, so now, 25 years ago. So it's a big year celebrating the 25th year of an extremely successful awards program over all these years, which has, as a result, sort of promoted and made sure that technologies that have won our awards have gone on to do some much bigger things, which I'll talk to later. But in terms of how we started, it was I was a journalist for in the IT space for a number of years, and I was also editor of Software Magazine. And of course, being an editor of a magazine, you got invited to a whole range of different things. But I was invited to be a judge for the Western Sydney Industry Awards, and I did that for 3 years. And it was through that I met Terry, and he ran the Australian Design Awards, which is run by Standards, and that's been going for many years. The design awards are for physical products, so you're looking at maybe a new type of chair or a new kettle, or even maybe a new car. And it's very diverse today in terms of what they give out awards to. But anyway, Terry invited me to be a judge on one of his judging panels because he was getting more and more technologies nominated that actually had embedded software in them, or embedded technology. And my background is all software development and project management. And anyway, I was a judge for Terry on the Australian Design Awards for a couple of years. And I met Terry through a mutual friend at Christmas at a barbecue in 1998. And hi, Terry, how are you going? And I said, I had a bit of a chat and I said, okay for the awards this year. And he told me that he'd actually resigned his position at Standards. He'd been doing it for 5 years, was taking a break. And he was off on holiday for 3 months, going back to the UK where he was from. He and his wife from Ireland, and him from Manchester, and taking a nice long break. So I said, well, look, why don't we touch base when you get back? So he came back in April, late April, and we sat down. We had a couple of beers, as you do, and chatted about a whole range of different things. But I've been thinking whilst he was away about, well, why don't we, I sort of broached the subject about, well, why don't we set up a new awards program in the technology space? And there were no awards in the technology space at that time. And of course, Terry had the background of running awards, and I had the technical background. So it made a good idea to set up the awards. So that's what we did, and we started the company on the 1st of July, 1999, and we're fortunate to get the name Consensus because the Consensus Awards is judged by consensus of the judges, which is great. So it's really nice to have that name. We do quite a few other things now as well, but our main activity is still the Consensus Awards. And anyway, we started off and started with just 2 awards programs. And because of my background, we started with the Consensus Software Awards and also the Consensus IT Writers Awards, so people writing about technology. And of course, because of my background, I actually knew more or less all of the journalists and editors in the industry. so we could invite them to nominate their skills in terms of writing articles, etc. Now, we actually had the first awards night in March 2000, and we had 5 winners, which was a fantastic result. And it's worth mentioning right up front that on our website, the consensus.com.au website, you can see all of the history of all of our winners over the years. So, including those 5 winners from year 2000. And we sort of hit the deck running because we had very good industry support. We had a couple of sponsors on board, and we also managed to get the federal minister, Richard Alston, who was the Minister for ICT, Information and Communications Technology, to present the awards. So it was a rocket start, so to speak. And I'll come back to the 5 winners, successful the awards have been over the years. But since then, we've obviously had a bit of a lean year when the GFC came through. The other thing was that, of course, with COVID, that was pretty lean, and we decided not to run the awards in 21 and 22. But we started again in 2023 with a very successful awards program. And it's worth mentioning that we have 2 awards when we started. We now have 12 different awards programs and across a whole range of different industry sectors. So we cover all industries, which is great. And the other important thing to stress up front, which we started way back then, was that it's up to the judges themselves to give out as many or as few awards as they like. So they will assess each one of its own merits, and they obviously have to be really, really, truly innovative, number one, and show a huge potential worldwide. And we also look at what we call performance. What is it? What does it do? Excuse me. What's the value add to the customer? What's the user experience? I mean, also things like sustainability of the technology in the marketplace. So as I said, we came back with a bangs in 2023, which is fantastic. And we had 6 awards presented by the Federal Minister, Ed Husic. It was a great evening in September last year, 2023, and a room full of people from industry and technology. And the great thing is there that I invited Ed Husic to present the awards in 2016, which he did. And he was the Parliamentary Secretary for Innovation in the opposition. And of course, since then, Labour got into federal government, and of course now he's minister. So we had that relationship. And it was a real friendly evening because I knew him previously, and obviously it's a big celebration night as well. So we've actually gone from, since we started in 2000 all the way through now to 2024, so in our 25th year, and we've gone from strength to strength. It's been really good.
And so the Consensus Awards have had a remarkable journey. So in your opinion, what has been the most profound impact of these awards?
I think the fact that we've actually been successful over many, many, many years of being able to assess innovation and do it independently by a large number of people from industry. So it's totally neutral. And the point is that the entrants love it too. It really gets the participants to focus on articulating exactly what it is that they have, what's the sort of the the value add of their technology. What are its uniques compared to anything else in the marketplace? And also, how are they going to take it to market? They've got to be aware of their competitors. And of course, the judges will look at that in terms of what technologies are currently out there in their market. And the great thing is that we have a very large number of judges. As I mentioned, we have now 12 awards programs, and I've got over 160 judges. Well, the reason it's so many is because we need to have subject matter experts in each of those individual programs, whether it be fintech or agtech for agriculture, green tech, edtech, etc. And it's up to the judges, as I said previously, for them to look at all those technologies independently and assess as to how many of them are totally innovative. And winning an award from a participant's point of view, it's a great pat on the back. These are founders typically that have spent a long time, a lot of their time and effort and money, of course, developing the technology to where it's currently at, and now to actually get an accolade, which is effectively like a industry rubber stamp, um, assessed by a large number of independent judges, is a fantastic win, and they just love the whole process. So it's worth saying as well that the value add in terms of winning an award is demonstrated by the fact that we've actually had 3 companies that have entered twice, so different technologies over different years. We've actually got one that has entered 3 times and won 3 times, and we've got another one which has entered 4 times over the years and they've won 3 times. So they missed out on one of their technologies. But it just shows the a good indication of the value that the participants put in terms of the process that we have, the consensus model as we call it, and being able to articulate exactly why their technology is worthy of an award.
So, looking ahead, so what is the vision for the future of the consent award, and how do you see them growing in the changing in the years to come?
Yeah, look, I think number one that we make sure that we review every time we run an awards program the quality. So the judges give us feedback, and over the years, for example, we've added additional questions to the entry form because the judges have said, look, it'd be really useful to know this up front from everybody. And of course, the markets have changed. So, for example, we've got in every entry form across all the awards programs questions now about sustainability, which we never had. The feedback as well we get from the participants, fantastic. It's great actually presenting to people from industry that are very knowledgeable. And obviously, we've got to be conscious of that as we move forward in terms of running the awards into other areas. We will, as time goes on, add additional awards programs, but we need to identify specific areas where it's worthwhile, where we believe there's a reasonable amount of investment in innovation to actually make separate awards. We do have the Consensus Innovation Award, and that's, if you like, a catch-all for all other technologies that aren't specifically in, for example, fintech or edtech or medtech, etc. And a good example is if you look back to the awards presented in 2023, there were 6 awards given out. Well, 3 of them were in the Consensus Innovation Awards. And those 3 technologies are totally different. It's amazing, very left field, right field. And So that's a good indication of how the judging takes place. You know, we're not identifying a single winner, that there are multiple winners in each of the different awards programs, each one winning on its own merits. So that's been pretty good as well. I think also that it's worth saying that there's always a minimum of 9 judges in the room. We've often had more than that. And it's really good because, as we said, you know, we need to have consensus of opinion of all of those judges to decide on how many awards given out. And then the judges write a detailed citation about each winner, which is fantastic. And that's actually quite meaty. And they can obviously then use that in their marketing material, put it up on their website. We put it up on ours as well. And that's good because at the end of the day, they all like to be able to promote the fact they've won an award. But isn't this great that they've got independent people saying why it's actually won the award and what its unique features are, which is really good from a marketing and promotional point of view. Back in 2018, we did consider running the awards twice a year. But of course, in 2019, COVID came through and we only ran them once in 2019. But based upon the success of the awards last year in 2023, we made the decision late last year to run the awards twice in 2024. And we're going to run them every 6 months going forward. Now, I don't know of any awards program worldwide that actually runs awards every 6 months. There are obviously typically annual events, as ours have been up till now. So that's pretty unique going forward. And I think also the fact that if you just miss out on an award, you don't have to wait for 12 months to re-enter. You can enter again in the next 6 months, which is fantastic for people, particularly those that are highly commended. And that's up to the judges. The judges may give out highly commended instead of an award because they're nearly there, but not quite. Yep. So the judges obviously give them the feedback. And isn't it great that they don't have to wait 12 months, but they'll actually enter again? And from the awards last year, as well as having those 6 winners, there were 2 highly commended. Well, they've actually just entered again for 2024. So entering again less than 6 months after they were highly commended. And of course, when they position their technology in front of the judges, and quite deliberately, it's not always the same judges. We obviously don't want to be presenting exactly the same technology to exactly the same judges if they're entering the second time around. And then it's up to those judges to make that assessment. But that's fairly unique. And we've run them in Australia and New Zealand since we started. There's been quite a number of winners from New Zealand over the years. But we've had inquiries from India, from Hong Kong, Singapore. I'm originally from the UK, and a couple of my colleagues in the UK are very interested potentially introducing awards in the UK as well, which is really good. But the rollout depends on quite a number of factors. Obviously, we're very well established here, but setting the awards up into a new country, new territory, we've obviously got to have independent judging panels in those places. And of course, we need sponsors to sort of bankroll it so we can get it up and running and have industry support from maybe the local computer society or whatever across all different industry sectors. So it's a challenge. We're up to it. And the nice thing is I've got good support from Hong Kong government already. And in Singapore, there are 3 of our previous winners over the years that actually have their Asia Pacific headquarters based in Singapore. So I'll be able to leverage off them as well. So yeah, we're up to it and looking to expand worldwide, which is fantastic.
Lastly, so do you have any words you want to share with those who want to join for the consensus word?
Yeah, no, I would encourage anybody that's got they think is a innovative technology to come and have a chat to us. We're pretty good at assessing whether the technology is at the right stage to enter the awards. Um, as I've indicated, it's a very in-depth process. They have to be committed, they have to focus, but we do help them through every stage. So we're always available. And what I understand that most of the people entering our awards are founders. They work 9 till 5, but also outside of hours on the technology. And therefore, we're available, and we say, 24/7 to answer any questions they have as they're going through and completing the entry form. Good example was this recent Easter. Um, I actually had calls from 3 entrants actually putting their entries together over the Easter break. And that's good. Don't have a problem with that. Um, Gave them my time, and they were all very happy with that, which is fantastic. So, ongoing dialogue with winners as well. So, the nice thing is that it's not just a pat on the back on the night. You obviously, as I said, get the citation, which you can use in your marketing material. You get photography of being presented with the award by the minister or whoever. And it's worth mentioning that over the years, we've always had either the minister or a shadow minister present the awards. And Malcolm Turnbull, for example, has presented the awards twice. Stephen Conroy, when he was minister, he presented the awards over 2 different years. Kate Lundy, when she was minister, same. So the list goes on and on in terms of senior ministers that have presented our awards. So very well recognised from that point of view. And the success of the awards over the years, it's worth mentioning, is that if you do win the award, there's a fair chance that you'll actually go on to be highly successful. So effectively, what consensus is looking into a glass ball and predicting the future. Over the years, we've actually done a fair bit of analysis in terms of where are they today. And the first time we did that was in year 13. We had a group of MBA students look at the first 11 years. There were 8 MBA students, and they did this over a 6-week period. So pretty intensive. A whole year of effort squeezed into 6 weeks. And we had a review meeting halfway through just to answer a few of their questions, but nothing much. The interesting thing is, when I briefed them in the first place, they said, "Look, is there a measure that we could use as to whether they've been successful or they haven't?" And I said, "Well, let's use the measure that venture capitalists use, and that is how many of them have gone on to do a 10 times return." And the reason I asked that question is when a VC invests in a series of different a portfolio of different investments, they're looking for at least 1 out of 10 investments to do a 10 times return. They'd like maybe 2 to do a 10 times return out of their 10 investments. But typically 4 or 5 or 6 of them either don't succeed or just break even. But they do look for just 1 or 2 to do a 10 times return. So my question to the students was, well, yeah, it'd be really nice to know how many of them have gone on to do a 10 times return. And I said, look, I'd like to think that 50% of them have done that. I knew a lot of them, and therefore I was putting my neck out a little bit. But anyway, they came back after the 6 weeks and gave their presentation. And the first thing they said was, well, by the way, your 50% is not right. It's not correct at all. Oh, okay. What is it then? It's actually 90%. Wow. That is incredible. So they're telling us that 9 out of 10 of the winners have gone on to be highly successful and do a 10 times return. Well, it wasn't actually. It was actually at least a 12 times return. So 9 out of 10 of the winners in the first 11 years had all gone on to do a minimum of 12 times return. And we've kept that information up to date all the way through. We still track at that rate. So you can be rest assured that if you do win the award, you're actually going to be successful on the worldwide stage. And let me give you some examples. These are some of them are well known, others maybe not. But back in it would have been August 2003. I went to a industry event networking in the evening, and I do a lot of that because that's where I find a lot of potential interest just by talking to people, just by networking. Anyway, I met these two graduates from the University of New South Wales. It was the year they graduated, Mike and Scott. And they told me they were developing a product called Jira, Jira, which is a project management tool for software developers. And of course, that's my background. And I latched onto that straight away and suggested that they enter the awards, which they did in 2004. And they won one of our awards. The company is Atlassian, which is very well known worldwide. The last time I looked, the market cap was around about 47 billion. Unbelievable. And Mike and Scott still own 20% each of the company. So they're multi billionaires. And when they won the award in 2004, Mike's dad was paying the rent in a small little office in York Street in Sydney. And he was obviously supporting them financially. And they had 3 beta customers. So they actually hadn't sold Jira. They actually just had 3 beta customers, and they were adding additional functionality with feedback from those beta customers before launching the product. So that's one, Atlassian. Another well-known one today is WiseTech Global, and they actually also won in 2004. They were known, the company as Eagle Data Nation International, EDI at the time, and the founder, Richard White, he's quite well known in the technology industry. He's listed on the ASX, whereas Atlassian is on the NASDAQ. But WiseTech Global is a multi-billion-dollar organization, and Richard entered the awards because he felt with independent judges on the panel, it would be a great assessment of his technology ready for him to go to market. And he thought, well, if he wins an award, definitely it's worth us investing further time and energy and dollars to take the technology to market, which he did. And another one which is worth mentioning, which is much, much bigger than Atlassian today. And wow, that's huge. And it's a technology that was developed in North Sydney by Financial Network Services, which doesn't exist today. And on the back of winning the award, which they did in 2005, they really went at the Asian marketplace. They leveraged significantly off the award in their marketing. And after 3 years, they were turning over 13 million US, highly successful. And Tata Consulting Services, which is part of the large Indian conglomerate, Tata Consulting Services, which is itself is the world's largest consulting company today. TCS saw the bank's technology at one of their clients, and they bought them out for 10 times revenue. So the founders of FNS went away with 300 million. Thank you very much. But today, it's generating every year about 40% of TCS's worldwide revenue, which is far in excess of Atlassian's. It's just, anybody can look it up. It's known as TCS Banks. So they've kept the name Banks, BANCS, TCS Banks, and are highly successful. And another one just worth mentioning before I close is one of our five winners way back in March 2000. Infocomp, the guy that started that company, Rob D. Dominicus, I've kept in touch with him all the years, and he wrapped the technology that he had developed in Infocomp, which won one of our awards, into a new technology platform in the wealth space, and it's known as GBST. It's in the top 100 wealth companies worldwide now, and Rob is going to be entering the awards again this year, 25 years after he previously entered. So it's quite interesting how it's not just keeping in touch with people, how that works. So great success overall. It's a great journey for those that wish to participate. And of course, if you win the award, then obviously the world is your oyster, as they say. Thank you.